Hello everyone, good morning. So let's have our quick daily briefing for today. And just a quick market recap on yesterday's data. So first things, we have the unemployment rate for Germany for the month of July. So for the previous data, it was 5.9% and forecasted at 5.8%. And for the month of July, the unemployment rate for Germany was 5.7%. So it beats the market forecasted data in the previous one. And also we have inflation rate for Germany, monthly basis for the month of July. So for the previous data, it was 0.4% and forecasted at 0.5%. And for the actual data, it was 0.9%. So it beats the market forecasted data and the previous data as well. And right here, right after the data for Germany, released yesterday, on the DAX on the 30 minutes time frame, it's just a modest gains around the 1560 territory. And right here, as you can see, there's a strong decline during the US session last night. But for the Asian session, the current price of DAX as of this moment is 1553 territory. And one of the main highlights of the data last night is the GDP for US quarterly basis. So the previous data was 6.3% and forecasted at 8.5%. And for the actual data, it was 6.5%. So this one, it's actually low, no? Comparing on the previous data, comparing on the forecasted data. And right here, as you can see, same goes with the initial jobless claims. The previous data is 424K and 380K for the forecasted. And for the weekly initial jobless claims, it was 400K. So did not beat the market estimated data. And the initial jobless claims and the GDP for the second quarter for the US, it was not a good data for them. And as you can see here, for third consecutive sessions, the dollar index on the bearish momentum as of this moment. And right after the GDP for the quarterly basis and the weekly initial jobless claims, the dollar index had a decline on the 91.90 territory. And during the Asian session, the price still remains at 91.90 level. And for today's economic data, during the Asian session, we have the PPI or the Producers Price Index for Australia, a yearly basis for the second quarter. So previous data was 0.2%, and the actual data, it was 2.2%. And also, we have the quarterly basis for PPI as well for Australia. So the previous data is 0.4%, and the actual data, it was 0.7%. So for this one, the Australian data did not create any significant move after the release. And also during the European session, there's a handful of data focusing on the Eurozone and Germany. So later at 4 p.m., we have GDP for Germany, yearly basis and quarterly basis for the second quarter. And for 5 p.m., we have inflation rate for Germany, monthly basis for the month of July. And inflation rate as well for Eurozone, yearly basis, and GDP as well, yearly basis and quarterly basis. And we also have the unemployment rate for the month of June. And for the US session, one of the key highlights of today's economic data is the GDP for Canada, monthly basis for the month of May. And 9:45, we have the PMI for Chicago for the month of July, and the Michigan consumer expectations for the month of July as well. And for our key product for today, we have the euro against the US dollar. So for the two consecutive sessions, the euro dollar is on the bullish momentum around the 1.18 territory. And if we are going to base the economic calendar, majority of the European data is expected to be much higher comparing on the previous one. So overall, if the data beats the market expectations, so we might see a bullish momentum, or it may create a bullish momentum for this pair. So for today's support, we can look for 1.1851 and 1.1818, and for the resistance, 1.1905 and 1.1925 for the resistance, respectively. Again, during the European session, majority of the data is focusing on the uh, German GDP and inflation rate, and we have GDP and inflation rate for Eurozone and unemployment rate as well. And for the US session, we have GDP for Canada and Chicago PMI for the month of July, and same goes with the Michigan consumer expectations. So overall, if you are trading mostly on the European currency pairs, we can expect that there will be a volatility move right after those data will be released. So please put a proper risk management and be cautious as well. All right, so thank you everyone for joining our daily briefing today. Please stay safe and have a great day.